It's a beautiful, beautiful Monday evening right down here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So once again, we are back right here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. Yeah, St. Kitts and Nevis, how are you doing? This is Laverne Davis. Yes, forgive me for that. Being right here on the media, I feel as if like it seemed easy. It is easy, but sometimes, and I would say this, sometimes the technician will be talking at the same time, and it kind of throw me off. So I think I want to do it again and start over, and I'm going to let him do the intro again because I want to start my show nice and perfect. So could you please pull back up Glass House for me, please? All right, it's a beautiful, beautiful Monday evening right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. This is The Real Talk, and we are back again in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. My name is Laverne Davis, and I'm here to present to you Real Talk. This evening, our special guest is none other than the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Journalists Association, and his name is Andre Huey. He's Jamaican, and I'm going to be having him here because we need to know who is Andre Huey. Who is this Jamaican man that come down in St. Kitts, or however he come down in our island, and basically, is president, him being a president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Association. So, Lavi, Gumbs, and The Real Talk, we want to know. The public wants to know who is Andre, and who Andre think he is to come to St. Kitts and come talk about here, president of the Journalists Association. But it's all good. It's real talk, whatever Lavi say here is all positive. I know sometimes you guys, you're not accustomed of this real talk, but you know what? It's a different type of talk. It is not gossip. You can get a little humor. So if you feel away, get out of your emotion and think of it as a positive way, because there's no way I will bring Andre here to put him on the spot and basically say, oh, this Jamaican man come here. Like, really, yeah, but I'm going to tell him that tonight, eh? Alrighty. And of course, I have here within the studios with me, as a handsome man, I don't even, again, nervous, kind of look good. So I'm going to just let him introduce himself. Yeah, and he's a Kittitian, eh? So, but him look really good, people. You could see him, right?
Hey, good night, music, radio line out there. My name, everybody, if you're looking at the airways, everybody should recognize my face. I'm Django Benjamin. Been living out in the States for quite some time. 30 plus years. So I'm happy to be back on the rock. Sometimes situations comes about that we don't always be prepared for, but there's an old saying sometimes when there's one funeral, they come in bunches, and that's what have occurred to me within recent weeks. So I'm back on the rock. I'm glad to be here to be amongst the great journalist Andrew Huey himself and the beautiful Miss Laverne Gumbs.
I need you to add something else with beautiful.
Okay.
The fearless, energetic, ambitious. Add some more to it, now, man.
The articulate.
And the word.
The intelligent.
And grassroots.
And grassroots. The beautiful Miss Laverne Gumbs.
Hey.
All right.
All right. And this is what the show is about. It's about time. We stay here in St. Kitts watching all those people over there with their reality talk. And, we got to shadow them and bring something to them and try a thing. Let's say fake it to make it.
Right.
But I guess we fake it so much that it's become real to us. I want to say good evening to the folks out there in Radio Land. How can I forget you? Good evening to Mr. Politics. Mr. Politics call. He said, Lavi, we're trying to get in last week, but like if phone line now work. But I realized, Mr. Politics, that the phone line was working. We just wasn't taking calls. But tonight we're going to be taking a few calls because last week I went and shared what we was doing over the weekend And I spoke so much about the good food at Boozy's. And here what we have here tonight, Radio Land. Boozy's are giving away a gift voucher value of $50. And it's a non-refundable voucher. Andrew, maybe you can try it, try your thing, because Boozy's food tastes really good. And $50 is a decent food. Yeah, that's a decent plate of food. And it expires March 31st. So I don't think you're going to come and get this. And Boozy's are basically saying, hold on to it for so long. After March 31st, it's done. So $50 voucher. I think that was very, very good.
$50? Wow. I can't even vouch for that. If I was married, I couldn't take my wife.
Exactly. And for $50, right? For $50, what you're getting, you're not just be getting the rice and just not the starch. You're actually getting a main course. I think it's the starch and two veg and a protein, right?
Gotcha.
So for $50, that is not bad.
Okay.
But folks, what we're gonna do tonight, I like to make it easy for persons when they call in to win, because it's only 1 hour. I want whoever call in, you got to tell us something about real talk, what you enjoy with real talk, whether good or bad, but I know it's mostly good. So I'm going to encourage anyone to call in and let them tell us something good about real talk. And if these lovely gentlemen out here feel like, we'll give it to them. Right. Before we get Mr. Andre in, because we're going to drill him tonight, we have Eustace Hendrickson. He said, we are okay, lavish, Lavi. Okay, and enjoying the real talk. Imagine, we ain't even started yet, right? But there's a person that are watching our episode. I stopped counting. I think I needed to start counting. But I think we're probably maybe on episode 13.
Okay, progress.
Yeah,
You're getting there.
progressing, yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, because in December we take like a break because, the seasons and everything. So we only do 2 episodes in December. And then we did 3 in January.
Okay.
Because, after starting back from the long holidays and everything. So episode 13, I think we did well. And we basically have some, decent people coming on the show.
That's good.
Sharing the,
Something to celebrate.
Something
Right.
to celebrate, yes. So real talk, striving. So basically tonight our special guest is none other than Andre Huey. But before I let Andre come on, I just want to let the folks out there once again in Radio Land, I'm hearing you. The folks over there in Nevis, it's hard to be calling everybody. And the folks over at, I would say, at HMP, and the folks up there at the General Hospital. There's a number of persons all over St. Kitts and Nevis telling me that they listen to the show. I truly appreciate you guys. Down in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, we have Jeffrey Bass. He's from Monkey Hill. He's always listening. And he said, Lavi, you don't call all the name, you don't call my name Jeffrey. So good evening to you, Jeffrey Bass. And persons out there might be wondering why I'm taking time out to do this. But these are people that make the show possible. And these are people that you make them feel good. Imagine you're there and you're just hearing somebody just saying, shout out to you.
Right.
I think that is something very, very good. And I want to take some time out to say a pleasant good evening to the folks over there in New York. And K. Byron, good evening to you. I see you mashing up the areas down there in Kuna. Kunta, what you call it? What the name of it?
Kunta Kante?
Kunta Kante, Kunta Kuna, or whatever.
Kunta Kuna.
It sounds like Kunta Kinte, right?
Yeah, right.
Kobe. What's my name, boy? Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody watch Roots?
Yep, that was it.
That was it.
I think it's in the Dominican Republic, correct?
Yes, it
Kunta
is.
Cana.
Kunta Cana.
Yes.
But, it sounds like Kunta Kinte.
Right.
Yeah, so I got to say good evening to Kay Byron and her whole entourage that came through for her. And they took the entire, SKB 869 SKN. They take it down there to Kunta Cana and, Espanol style, giving it into the kitchens. And they really rock that boat. in the camouflage. And, big up to Kay Byron celebrating her 50th birthday. It's a pleasure really seeing it from here in St. Kitts, where you see this, a big entourage down there in someone else's country enjoying themselves for their birthday. I think that's a big deal. And they came through for her. But nevertheless, on my weekend, what did I do? On my weekend, this weekend was very awesome for me. I have families that are very close to me that are here, and I feel very special. I'm not going to call a name. So for that, I believe in families, and, I'm just enjoying my family. So ladies and gentlemen, I am going to present to you Mr. Andre Huey, the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Journalists Association.
Good afternoon. Good evening, rather, to everybody. Good evening, Laverne. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, pleasure to be here.
Andre, I can't even believe that I am here because you're a journalist. Me is the carbon copy journalist.
That's okay. You're gonna make it.
I'm gonna make it, right?
Yeah, you're gonna make it.
Awesome. And while I'm saying the carbon copy, you're correct. Who would have thought that in today's time we will have had this kind of media voice on the air right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Andre?
I can't believe it myself as well. If you asked me 25 years ago, where would I be? I probably wouldn't have St. Kitts Nevis on the radar. So, when, God just have a plan for you. Have one plan, God have another plan. So you just have to go with that.
Amen. Amen. So, Andre, how did you arrive here in St. Kitts? Do you have families here? How did you got here to St. Kitts?
No, actually, I didn't know anyone here. It was only probably about maybe a month or two before moving here, or maybe longer than that I actually met folks here we basically became friends here. So what happened really, I was actually living in St. Martin. I was in St. Martin working there. I was actually working at a newspaper there in St. Martin as the assistant editor. And I had a friend who was living here from Guyana. And he was, visiting back and forth between St. Kitts and St. Martin. And he said to me, you do well in St. Kitts in terms of being on the radio, because there are not a lot of male voices, especially news. They said, you would actually do well here. And so I said, okay, well, I would check it out. At the time when I was in St. Martin, I started learning more about St. Kitts. And, I was a bit intrigued by St. Kitts and Nevis. Because St. Martin, as you know, is not an independent country. St. Kitts and Nevis is.
Right.
And, from the reports that you read and saw, you saw good things.
Got it.
So I visited St. Kitts for about a weekend in 2008. And liked what I saw, and the rest is history.
2008?
Yeah. So I actually moved here in 2009.
So, not really going into your business, but I feel like this is a perfect time to ask you. You can decline if you want to. You said you was in St. Martin and somebody told you that they need journalists over here. But was it that easy just to come here and do that? Because I can't see myself, I'm just saying, leaving from here and go to Jamaica or go other islands, especially Cayman Island, and just go in just like that.
No, I wouldn't. Well, for me, the process was a little easier because of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME. So that was the procedure that I used to come here. Because outside of that, you would have to apply for work permit and go through all that process, which can be lengthy and take a longer time. The CSME process was a little more seamless. So it didn't, it wasn't as difficult as it would have been had it not been for that process.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you clarified that, because I know for sure, like going into the CI Islands, the BVI, and of course the United States, but I'm talking about the Caribbean.
It would be more difficult because of the political structure, because you're going to the USVI, that's US
of
territory.
Course,
so you have to get a visa, then you have to get a work visa if you're going to go there to work. So the process is a lot more challenging, because then you have to go through all those hurdles.
Of course.
So
And I know, because I'm speaking not just because someone said this, but I had experience going to the CI Islands, and it was not as easy as that. You cannot even open up a business over there on your own. You can actually work for a company named XYZ, but it's going to be owned by the local, and you're just going to be in there.
Yeah.
After, if you manage to get whatever your stuff and together. But by, I think, after 5 years, then you have to actually go back out of the country. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a full year, even if you do 10 years in there if you're not married. And it's very difficult. Well, let me know it's difficult, but there's a procedure to be in those
Yeah.
islands.
The same for St. Martin as well, 'cause I've lived there for a while, and it's not a seamless process. It's not an easy process.
Right. But I'm going to say this, though, right? I think it works out well for coming to St. Kitts, especially if you're coming to St. Kitts like somebody like Andre, who did not really come to depend on the system, but to come to contribute. And for that, I think that is something good. So I just want to get that out.
Yep.
It's just my opinion. Or you know, get vexed with me out there.
But so let me ask you, wouldn't you consider journalism as a form of a skill set?
It is, and,
Okay.
and that is why, for example, when I brought up the CSME, what CARICOM currently has,
Right.
and which St. Kitts and Nevis, based on what the Prime Minister said, is still maintaining, is that aspect of free movement.
Gotcha.
So it's the country is not open to full free movement as yet. The skill certificate, what CARICOM put in place was a situation where certain professions
Got
could
it.
apply for a skill certificate, and with that skill certificate, once you're granted that, you could travel across CARICOM, the countries that have that facility, and work and live in the country. So journalism is one. Teaching, I think, is also one. I don't remember all the categories now, but
Right.
teaching, journalism,
Nursing.
nurse.
What
If
else?
you're a sports professional as well,
Gotcha.
that's also included. I think musicians are also included in
Right.
it as well. So yes, it is to answer your question. It is a specified
Okay.
skill set.
But the only reason why, because recently there's been a lot of buzz about the free movement,
Right.
CARICOM, engagements that's been going on, and unfortunately, a lot of people are not. I'm not going to say not intelligent enough. They just don't have inclination as to the concept of the free movement, the CARICOM free movement.
Right.
So in your situation, because you're pretty good at what you do, from what I've been told, they say I don't live in St. Kitts, I visit. But from what I've been told, that they say you're now the top guy, the top journalist.
They're being too kind.
They've been too kind? Well, I mean, hey. But so you being here now in St. Kitts, what has been some of the benefits in your field of work?
Well, one of the things that what I liked about coming to St. Kitts Nevis is, for the media standpoint, is that I saw opportunities in the media
Oh, gotcha.
here. And by opportunities, I mean things that were not yet in place that could have been developed and brought in place. So, for example, and you were asking me earlier about what I do, where I work now. So
Right.
my business is a media company. So you have SK Newsline, which is part of that, and TVC Channel 40, which is on the cable. So those are two of the brands that we operate. And when I started SK Newsline, I saw a need, because I said, okay, well, we have a lot of media outlets online, but there isn't one that provided news in the way in which we provide news, which is a digital format, video based. So I saw that as an opportunity to develop something that did not exist before. So essentially, for me, I think seeing what opportunities exist and try to create opportunities or develop those opportunities. That's one of the benefits that I saw.
Gotcha.
Coming here, and also because St. Kitts Nevis is also a small country. Sometimes especially if you look at it from the Caribbean perspective, sometimes St. Kitts and Nevis can be overlooked because of how small we are.
Right.
And so by putting certain things in place, and for example, Lavi, introduced me as president of the Media Association.
That's good.
There was an association here when I came, actually, but it wasn't as active as it is now. So then a few years ago, myself, along with some other journalists, some of who are on the executive, who serve with me on the executive, we decided that, we do need to have an active association and to sort of, represent the media persons in the country. So again, we're looking at opportunities. So essentially, to answer your question, opportunities.
Gotcha.
Looking at opportunities that exist, and where there's a vacuum, you try to fill that.
To
void.
fill it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Since that you have been here since 2008, and you see
Well,
this
2009.
2009, and you see it as an opportunity, and you have done well, and you still continue to to be in the game in this business. Have you shared your knowledge, or maybe encourage other local people by you being here?
Yes, of course. One of the things that and this is something we want to do on a more grander scale, as we develop, is to provide opportunities for young people who are in, and we're actually looking to do that through the Media Association as well. So one of the things that we want to do with this in the association is to create a media club in schools, in high schools, where young people can be introduced to the media, what it is that we do in the media, learn certain skills, teach them the basic skills, and to develop an interest. Because I think why a lot of young people are not moving into the media here in St. Kitts Nevis, because it's ignorance. They don't know what actually happens. They don't know that you can actually get opportunities to work at the radio station, to work in print, to work in television, etc., etc. So I think by having a media club, it will help to generate an interest in the media and give them an opportunity. But to answer your question even more so, even at our company, we've had persons, I can speak of at least 2 individuals who would have come, one who still works with us, who prior to coming had no experience whatsoever in media, didn't work in the media before, had no media skills whatsoever. And today are production assistants, learning, producing content for television, producing the news, producing video content, operating the cameras, stuff of that nature. We've had situations where we would have done internships, would have accommodated young people in internships. When I worked here at WINN FM, for example, we've had a few young people who came through on internships, and I was able to train them on, editing and production and stuff of that nature. And some of them are actually using that skill today in their endeavor. So yes, I would have had the opportunity, and I always look for opportunities where I can share knowledge with, especially young people, because that's needed.
Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's right. That's all right.
I don't want to come off as a bully, but I just heard you say that you're trying to inspire young people coming out of school. I think that's a very, very good idea, because St. Kitts Nevis, as you said earlier, is very small, and the media hasn't been. Let me use a good word.
Enough.
It's not very optic.
Yes.
In the federation.
Yes.
And then when you do get into it, because of the quote unquote I wouldn't say ignorance, but sometimes I think it depends on the small-mindedness of people. Sometimes the media in such a small place as this could be seen as a villain. You know what I mean? In other words, too, where if certain media sources are not, I'm trying to stay away from the politics in St. Kitts, because that's very thin. They're very, that could be a very thin line with that. If you're in the media, and I think the expectations from people, they expect, okay, for example, you might be in the media, Lavi might be in the media, myself, whatever, and then at present we have the 3-party system. Sometimes people expect you can't hear me?
To a certain line.
To a certain line. So you being in the media, I'm wondering, is it hard for you to be bipartisan?
It depends on what your background is. And what I mean by background, let me use St. Kitts Nevis, for example. We have people who are from St. Kitts Nevis, who are in the media. In fact, majority of the media people, people who work in the media, journalists and media professionals, are from St. Kitts Nevis originally. What I've noticed, my observation has been, people sometimes tend to put you in a box.
Got it.
Based on the family you're from, the community you grew up in, etc., etc.
Exactly.
So if you're from Sandy Point, people associate people from Sandy Point for one particular party. If you're from St. Paul's, they say you must be because you're from St. Paul.
Or even your friends.
Right. And that's not always the case, because, and as I was saying to you last week, it's always good to have conversation with people. Talk to them, get to know them, understand what their thinking is before you make judgments.
Got it.
So someone who is originally from St. Kitts Nevis, from certain communities, might be sort of linked or pigeonholed in a certain area. And as such, for them, it might be a bit more challenging. For me, who did not have that baggage to deal with, it wasn't as difficult. It is challenging, but it wasn't as difficult
Right.
as for somebody who is from St. Kitts Nevis. So for me, I always tell people, let my work be my judge. So if I am interviewing a politician from a particular party, when I produce the content, the story from that interview, I don't have an agenda
Gotcha.
to try to make that person look bad or good. My objective is to present the facts and to present the facts for you, the viewer, and the listener, and the reader, to make your determination as to whether the story fits the journalistic credentials. You can then make a determination. There are some people who might not be happy with me giving a certain political party or politician the light of day, because generally some people feel, well, if they're not saying the views that you support politically, then they shouldn't be talking at all. They shouldn't be on the airwaves. They shouldn't get any. And really and truly, in this day and age, in a democracy, all voices must contend. So whether or not you agree with that politician or the views of that politician does not negate the right for them to speak.
Gotcha.
They still have a voice, regardless. So we try to get all the political voices, all the voices, given that equal opportunity to express themselves and to say certain things. For example, I did a story recently on the PLP had a press conference, and they were pointing out some things pertaining to health. And they were basically trying to make the case that they manage the health system better than the current administration. When I did this story, around the time when the story was, when the press conference happened, I think maybe a day or two later, the Prime Minister had his press conference. And as you know, he's the Minister of Health. He also spoke about what the government has been doing in health to make a case that the government is doing a better job than the previous administration in managing health. I did a story that reflected the views of both the former health minister, Wendy Phipps, and the current health minister.
As you should.
Right. Some people weren't happy with that. They felt that probably felt that the Prime Minister alone should talk, or the other side probably felt that, Ms. Phipps should speak. But in a democracy, as I said before, all voices contend. So as the viewer, should watch the story and read the story and determine for yourself, who do you think did a better job or is doing a better job in managing health?
But let me ask you a question again, because I don't know, we're not going to have somebody like you right here. You know what I mean, Django?
You got to take the advantage.
You have to take advantage.
you got to.
And when we have somebody, and especially Andre being Jamaican, I am really happy that we can have people like him here. For one, because as a Kittitian, if we don't have other cultures to mingle with, we will not become a place of cultured,
Cultural diversity.
Of diversity, absolutely.
Right.
And if we don't travel and we have people come into our islands, but listening to Andre, sometimes it's like, as you said, it's kind of, it's like a rock and a what?
Rock and a hard place.
Yes, because here is it, you have the government, and then you have the opposition. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. The opposition, you can go hard on the opposition because they can't really do much to you. They could trash you, yes, but then you have the government that is in office. But I also agree with Andre, not because he's a journalist, you should not bring anyone to embarrass them. Whether it's a rumor, even if it's facts, there's a way that you deal with people.
Deal with them tactfully.
Deal with them tactfully, absolutely.
I think that's what is missing a lot in our media circle in the Federation. The tactfulness.
It's just about being professional, too.
Yes.
Even if you have a bone to pick, even if you have a side, because journalists are human beings, and they might have a political persuasion.
Well, I have a side.
Right. But if you have a political persuasion, when it comes to
too bad for you, but I have my side.
When it comes to performing your job as a journalist, you know that you're just being professional.
Gotcha.
And so nobody won't even have to know that you have a side, because at the end of the day, you are just doing your job, which is being fair and balanced as best as you can.
So Angela, let me pick another bone with you, because since I am trying to transition to St. Kitts, so here's my question. I was told through the grapevine that you're also big in the church.
Yes, that is true.
So what role you play there?
Currently, I am an associate pastor at my church, New Birth Gospel Tabernacle, which, by the way, I should be going to as soon as I leave here.
What? Okay.
That is service going on.
Interesting.
So I'm in charge of the youth ministry at the church. So I deal a lot with young people, and also the media ministry, because we have a media ministry there.
In the church?
In the church, yeah. So we handle like live streaming and anything to do with the media at church.
So Lavi, have already established you're Jamaican. Big up to you. All right, that's the thing. But you come into St. Kitts. How do you feel? And I know I don't want Laverne to feel like I'm taking over her show. But how do you feel that since this free movement, this CARICOM free movement talk been so hot everywhere? You know, you got some of us who ain't too happy, and some of us saying this and that. How do you feel now that you're in the system here with us? You're doing pretty good stuff. What are your feelings on that? To be honest,
that's a very interesting question. I can empathize, and I to some extent agree with the comments that are made. Where, to a great extent, actually, the comments that are made regarding that free movement for especially the smaller territories should be managed, as opposed to a free for all.
I got you.
From the standpoint of, yes, it is indeed true that if you have a situation where free movement is just open, and you have small countries like Antigua and Barbuda and Kitts and Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean, that it could have a strain on the system. So that I can contend with. At the same time, also, and you've heard the Prime Minister said it, you've heard the Premier said it, that they still believe in the ideals of free movement and CARICOM and Caribbean integration, regional integration, because it is something that is necessary for us to advance as a region.
Definitely.
Even if it's not from the movement of people standpoint, it is certainly something that I think is necessary from the economic standpoint, because as individual territories, even the bigger islands by themselves, are not effective if you don't work together and join together. And we've seen the institutions of CARICOM that have been beneficial to St. Kitts and Nevis and to every member of CARICOM. I mean, the Prime Minister listed them the other day when he was on WINN FM. He talked about the CARFA and other institutions that benefit the region, and every member of CARICOM benefits from that. So it shows the power of unity and working together. But then, of course, we do understand that all countries are not the same, and so a small percentage of a population moving from one big island to the smaller islands can have a different effect, a different impact than if it was the other way around, because of the size, population size, etc. So we understand that. So that's something that CARICOM will have to figure out. But I do believe in regional integration. It is something that I think can benefit all parties, regardless of their size.
Well, it is 8:34. You're listening to Real Talk with Lavi. And I have here our special guest is Mr. Andre Huey, a Jamaican. And I also have my co-host, and he is none other than Mr. Django. I hope I'm calling your name right.
You got it. You're hitting it on the head.
Yes, and you asked if you hope you're not taking over my show. You're not taking over my show, because you know what? The show is not just about me, and that's the reason why I bring you here.
Okay.
And it's all about positivity, and it's good to just know that I have, as you say, you're looking into being a returning national yourself, but you're going to come back next time, and it's going to be me and you here, because I'm going to drill you too.
Really?
Yes. But Mr. Andre, as a Jamaican, like I said, right? How are you finding in terms of Jamaicans here, the networking? Is it because of the association that you guys have formed?
Well, the association, it was interesting you should bring that up, because I just did a story tonight on the relaunch of the St. Kitts chapter of the Jamaica Association here, because it has been dormant for some time. I mean, not dormant, but it just has been as active So we just had a relaunch on the weekend. I have not been able to be as involved as I would like because of work. I mean, I wasn't even on that meeting on Saturday to begin with because I had to work on Saturday. But I was, still part of the planning and the organizing. So I don't get a chance to really be as involved as I would like. But I do know that in the past, and based on information that I've, gotten from other Jamaicans living here longer than I have, and some even recently, in the past, the association was very active and has been, been engaged with working together with Jamaicans. With this relaunch, no, I do anticipate that more work is going to be done. In fact, activities are already being planned for later in the year, where, a lot of social activities are being planned to, bring the Jamaicans on the island to socialize and to also give back to the community as well. So yeah, I think, and even more to answer specifically your question, I think there's a lot of networking that does take place. There are a lot of Jamaican-owned businesses here, especially in the restaurants, in the food and beverage sector. And so you do have situations where whenever events are being planned by certain businesses, they go out and they support each other. So, and together, of course, with locals.
Well, I have to say this, right? And this is something that I have noticed for a while now, that there's a lot of Jamaicans here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I realize that Kittitians, big up yourself, Kittitians.
Woi.
Big up yourself, yes, and big up yourself, divisions. So let me say, Kittitians and divisions, but being from St. Kitts, sometimes I like to speak on behalf of who I am in terms of a Kittitian, right? But I find that the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, we support anybody. We don't look at faces.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we will go out and we will support the Jamaican businesses. And what I realize, there's a number of cultures that are here. I'm not going to really call them, the culture that are here. And a lot of them, you don't see them be lining up to a lot of our locals in terms of really supporting us. And I feel like, and I'm going to say it over the airways, I mean, this is Real Talk with Lavi. I do respect WINN FM 98.9, but it is Real Talk, I would say somewhat that I think that some of persons that are coming on our island, I don't know if it's just selfish or they're just basically in their clan, that they don't want to go outside of their, maybe who they know. But I don't find that they patronize enough locals, or should I say we don't have enough locals that maybe could serve them. And some of them just come with the culture and they stick with the culture. And, I've literally hear it where they will be here in St. Kitts and they will like, oh, me not do this and me not do this, but yet you're in St. Kitts making St. Kitts money. There's a lot of Kittitians, like I said, we love to support. There's a lot of business around here. You see them line up, a bunch of Kittitians, and you don't see no Jamaicans going out and really lining up supporting our businesses. So I would like to know, as a Jamaican, I know, and a lot of them have been here a long time. And some of these foods that I'm getting, because some of them cooking, some of them know fully well that where there was backyard, there wasn't no chef and there wasn't no entrepreneur and there wasn't no whatever. And they come here and they're doing all kind of things and with their patronizing them, right? And I just feel that as Black people, I think that we need to support each other more.
Yeah.
Without looking at
Nationality. So Lavi, can I interject?
Of course you can.
Okay,
It's
so
just my opinion, no?
Yeah, right. So I understand Mr. Huey here is the Jamaican guest and also the big time journalist.
Yes.
So I heard you saying about people not supporting us Kittitians businesses.
Enough.
Right. So I would
no, correct. I did not say that
not
they
enough.
don't support. They're not supporting enough. Like how we will line up as Kittitians and go to these places.
Okay.
I don't see no Jamaicans, no Asians, no Indians,
Okay.
or whoever they be lining up to support our business like in line.
Because that is where
This is Real Talk with Lavi. It is 8:40. I got to let you guys know this here. You ain't going to take over me show. I'm going to take it over. But go ahead.
No, because I love you too.
Yeah, man.
Because the only reason why I was trying to clarify is
No, you
when
good.
you said the Jamaicans,
Yeah.
I wanted to interject you right there and said not just the Jamaicans, because we have a lot of Guyanese, And just the other night, I went out for my first time and went to a business, and it's Trinidadian one. And the same thing when I got there, I was shocked. Because I'm saying, whoa, the place is a nice nice establishment. Lots of kitchens was there. So I understand what you're saying. So my interjection was only to take out the Jamaican part and just put it in,
No, you're good. Listen.
the Caribbean or the
Yes.
other people.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
prefer you just said the other people.
Well,
but I understand what you're coming from.
Well, in the meantime, the other people, I could not throw that on Andre because I was talking to Andre from a Jamaican point of view.
Okay.
And basically, I'm embracing it as well. Because I'm just saying, right, just like how we embracing the Jamaicans, I feel like a lot of them that come here and they're always like basically saying the food, like kind of competing. And no matter how good your food is, right? It doesn't mean that everybody gonna like it, because if you don't know of it, that don't mean you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it comes down to maybe a matter of preference. And I'm not making a case for not integrating
Right.
because
Gotcha.
I believe in, for me, I mean, once a business offers a product or a service that I want, and the price is right, and I have the money to buy it, then it doesn't matter, for me, it doesn't matter who owns it.
Gotcha.
So I go to the locals, I go to the Chinese, I go to whoever. Once there's a business operating in an area that I am, and it's more convenient for me, and they have what I want, I'm gonna do business there. I know some people might have certain ideals, and they might say, well, okay, they're not gonna go by the Chinese, or they're not gonna go by no locals or whatever. That's not me. For me, business is business.
Gotcha.
So, but some people may have certain preferences for whatever reason, and they stick to those preferences. I can't speak on behalf of the Jamaicans when it comes to that aspect, because, like I said, I don't get the chance to, because I'm, just so busy.
And you got to speak for yourself,
Right,
really.
I can only speak for myself.
But knowing that it is a fact that a lot of Jamaicans, and what I see happening here also, a lot of these same Jamaicans, just like what you said, they will look and see what we're doing and go and carbon copy and do the same thing, because they basically, so this whole free movement kind of thing, I have a problem with it. And the problem that I have with it is basically we cannot stop people from moving to go wherever they want to go. But St. Kitts cannot. St. Kitts is too small to just get immigrants, people who come in to depend on the country, people who come in to carbon copy and paste, taking what they see that we local doing and just gonna come in and do. I have a problem with that.
Well, I would put it this way. Let me put it this way when it comes to the free movement, because we don't even need free movement to even talk about copying. I always hear people say, for example, and this doesn't even have to do with ethnicity. It just has to do with people of African descent.
Right.
We always hear, and I hear local people say it as well, that rather than working together, black people would rather compete against each other.
That's true.
So if somebody starts a barbecue
Right
on
there.
4th Street and somebody else see it, it doesn't matter where they're from, they're going to probably start it as
And
well.
they're going to start it and try to do better.
Right.
There you go.
I would even talk about even carbon copy. I've seen situations right here in St. Kitts where, and it's not a bad thing necessarily because everybody have their own ambitions, where you might have a Jamaican have a restaurant or a food establishment in one location. Somebody works for them who is also Jamaican, works for that establishment, and then they leave and start their own, and probably even doing better than the one that they were working at. I know of situations like this right here at St. Kitts and Nevis. So even without free movement, you are going to have people
Gotcha.
duplicating and wanting to do, because if they feel like they can do better in a free society, they're going to do that. They're going to try and compete if they need to.
Somebody is saying, they said, Lavi, they don't see it as not supporting us. They see it as supporting their own. And that's another thing. I mean, you can't knock somebody for supporting their own. And that's the thing with us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. They'll come down and basically go out the way to stop their own. They're doing the same thing that somebody else is doing. And I feel like we don't.
I'll take it a step further. I think for some people, and I'll use my personal experience. When I first moved to St. Martin, I must admit, I didn't like the food. I wasn't accustomed to the food. there were a lot of restaurants. You had Spanish bars, you had the Chinese, you had whatever. And it took me a while to acclimatize to the food. So if I found a Jamaican restaurant, I would go there because that's what I'm used to. So a lot of times what you'll have, it's sometimes not because of supporting your own, it's just because they have what they want and they're accustomed to that. So they support that. Now, after a period of time, they live here long enough, then they might gradually, because that's what I did, gradually now I started to acclimatize to other dishes from other parts of the Caribbean.
Gotcha.
And then I felt more comfortable now to eat certain things because I was in St. Martin long enough now to acclimatize to the other things. So eventually now, it doesn't matter where now, I could easily mingle. But someone who just come, it's hard for them to sometimes adapt.
All right, let me just weigh in here what somebody is saying on social media. They said, Andre, do you realize that the only territories that don't have free movement is Africa and the Caribbean? Europe is made up of various countries and they have free movement. When you travel in Europe, the process is quite seamless. You can take the train to various countries in Europe. I also want to read this one, what somebody is saying. They said that there is no longer a melting pot when it comes to foreigners landing into one community. It is a mosaic tile where every culture now maintains its identity when it goes into a new territory. Hence, we now have Carnival in Atlanta, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Orlando. It is the new norm. We seek our own when we go into a new territory.
Yeah, and we see that happen a lot with the Asians when they especially in the U.S. They usually amongst themselves. The Jewish community is usually amongst themselves. The Arabic community usually amongst themselves. In a bigger country like the U.S., when Caribbean people go, they tend to mingle with other Caribbean people. So even though you have a lot of Jamaicans in New York, for example, you're still finding them mingling with the Guyanese and with the Trinis. And so in a bigger countries, it's kind of easier for the melting pot situation to happen. And in the smaller islands, it takes a while sometimes before people, but then again, Lavi, I will even tell you this, and that's probably the situation here too. You're saying that, for example, Jamaicans only support their own. That's not always the case. Because I've heard Jamaicans say to me, they don't like being amongst other Jamaicans.
But
they prefer to be amongst other people.
They would say, but they've been talking about spending the money.
Well, the Jamaicans I know, they go anywhere and spend money. If it's a food business, I think I understand why you might have a little a situation where they might just decide, well, okay, they're gonna go to the Jamaican food establishment. And again, it goes to the point I was making earlier. If they don't feel comfortable eating another dish that they're not accustomed to, they might just decide, let me just go by certain restaurants.
And that is fine, right? But I'm just saying, as he said, we can't force people where to spend the monies. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that this is what is happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And everybody come in to Little St. Kitts, and we welcome them, But they come in here and they're making the monies. And I just hope and wish, hopefully Real Talk and open up a lot of people mentality, and Kittitians going to recognize that, their own is their own, and they're going to have to hold on to their own. Not saying that, one minute, not saying that they're not going to patronize other people, but the way when you're spending your wealth, because the money is revolving. Our money is when we get our monies here, Django, it circulates here. We ain't going to no Western Union and no other place sending our money. Don't get me wrong, because, if I'm from Jamaica or wherever else, and I leave family back there, you want to send back a little thing for them, because you never know where you're going to end up. Right? But I'm just saying that I wish that, hopefully, that our people will recognize that, we got to support one another.
Yeah. Well, Laverne, I'm gonna. This is a boxing match between me and you now, because I understand everything you're saying, but we have to be fair. And I'm gonna say this: there might be people outside in the radio land who don't agree with me. The CARICOM free movement thing that we've been talking about, and the reason why Andre is now where he's at. Okay, some people take advantage of certain skill sets. Me personally, the way I'm looking at it, that will bring other people with different skill sets that are not here in this country. I understand, because I'm coming from a law enforcement background of a long time. So I understand with that could entertain and bring some people that we don't need. But in a situation, these islands are small. The government has to have some form of control with the immigration coming in. So if we are so concerned as Kitchens of who's coming in, then they could go through a vetting system, just like the U.S. Second part, Laverne, is we are so concerned about people coming to St. Kitts and our lands and taking our jobs. Well, what does half of the Kitchens do when we flying out? Where we go? We going in other people's place?
But guess what? You put in your boxing glove. You could put me got our minds too. And remember, you giving your opinion and I giving mine.
Yeah. But
and this is why it is very important when we have shows like this. It's very good because we need different point of view. I'm not even here for anybody to agree because, like I said, I'm speaking from experience, and this is my experience. But like I said, the skill set that they say that they don't have here. Who said they don't have them here? Maybe nobody giving us the opportunities. And at the same time, right? We talking about the skill set, but the skill set coming here. Let me tell you this here right now. In the beauty business, for instance, right? When it comes to customer service and fine dining, like upscale salons, some of it is not that our Kitchens cannot do that. It's the resources of the monies. Some of these businesses that we're seeing here with foreigners coming here doing it, nobody knows where they're getting the money from. It could be money washing. You understand? But there's a lot of banks that are here. When we go, they want to know because they know who Lavi is. They know who Peter is. Maybe some woman in there don't like this person. I'm just saying how we judge each other. Right. And these people, because nobody know who they be, they just come in right away. So I'm not knocking anybody that is coming here. I have an issue with people that are coming in our islands and we're not basically helping creating jobs because they're coming in with skill set for who? They're coming in with skill set for themselves. You know?
Well, I was going to make the point earlier too that one of the reasons why you could have a situation where persons coming in who are not supporting local businesses, it could be a matter of zoning. Where are these local businesses located?
True.
There's a Chinese supermarket in almost every community in St. Kitts and Nevis.
And when the Chinese them
and rarely do you find close to that Chinese a local mom and pop shop or a supermarket owned by a local.
But listen,
very few communities have that.
And Andre is exactly, the government should have never allowed that. And the government is not just this government. And this is happening in different, let me tell you this here, right? Because this is deep for me. Okay? Yes, it's me, one woman up in here against these two men. It is 8:53, right? Do you know in the BVI stopped that. And if, they have a few. But if the BVI never do that, what do you think those people in the BVI, and the CI Islands, they got to protect the locals?
It's a matter of zoning. Where I live, there are at least 2 local mini-marts in that area.
Okay.
Down the road from one of the mini-marts or one of the supermarkets is a Chinese supermarket. And in another close by community, there's another Chinese supermarket. So I have choices. And I shop at all of them from time to time. So it's a matter of zoning. Now, if you have enough local supermarkets, when I lived in Keon, for example, I lived in Keon for some time. Right up the road, there's Penny Supermarket, owned by a local. There was no Chinese close. Well, there was a Chinese up the road, but it was more convenient for me to go to Penny's. It didn't matter to me whether Penny's was owned by a local or not. All it mattered to me was that there was a supermarket close by, walking distance.
Convenience.
It was convenience.
There you go.
So it's a matter of convenience. Now, if you have, and I was using the supermarket example, if you have local supermarkets in every community in St. Kitts and Nevis, in an area that is, convenient for where most people live, I believe whether a person is from Jamaica or they're from Trinidad or they're from Guyana, they're going to go there and support. They don't care who owns it.
Andrew, I'm going to say this here, right? And what you said, it is there. I cannot run away from that. But before all of this, we used to have locals that have these things. And it's because government has not, I'm saying government, And I'm also saying the banks, the lending, when it comes to finance, a lot of us have not been born into generation wealth. These Asians people are whoever they are, not just coming here with their hands up. You understand? Most of these people are fronting for God, who knows who they're fronting for. So I am basically not even talking about them because, as you said, with free movement, we go different places, as Django said. But at the end of the day, when it comes to St. Kitts, why we're being like this is because our government and banks, when it comes to entrepreneurship for locals, most of the time when they want to give us any money, it's probably maybe like $10,000 to $20,000. We don't have enough resources to do these businesses. You don't have to agree with me because,
You're right.
Like
but I also think too that what we probably need to start looking at is how we can work together.
Definitely.
Because there is strength in numbers.
Definitely.
Going by yourself and working, I mean, even in what I'm doing, I have to partner with other people because I don't have all the resources and I don't have all the capacity to do all the things I would like to do. So I have to find partnerships, not only here, but partnerships abroad as well that I can use to strengthen my position to be able to function. Because if you don't do that, as a small business, without the resources, you will die.
And Django, adding to what he said, right? Partnership, that's the way. But in St. Kitts and Nevis, because the movement that, even though it's not open up, the immigration, people can just come in here all 6 months, nobody going back to look for them. In, like I said, in the Cayman Islands, in the BVI Islands, the partnership down there, it's like a must because you have no choice. You cannot open up a business. So if I go there, for instance, with my talent, let's suppose Django is from there. He can basically do all whatever, and I can go in and you have partnership. It give you a chance now, to what like a melting pot, But here, you don't have to do that because a foreigner could come here and they can just go and do what they have to do because they can partner with who else, right? We don't do much of this here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I feel like if citizens, maybe with programs like this, recognize that in order to succeed, you're gonna have to come together and invest because we don't do that enough. Tomorrow, if you're going to ask somebody, hey, can you give me $10,000 to do this? I'm not saying the person is a bank, but if the person have that money, they will rather give it to somebody else than give it to their own. But if that person basically maybe go and have a mental illness, that's when they want to give you, is when you're back against the wall. They feel kind of pity now when they say, man, she have good talent, and I wish I had do this and blah, blah, blah. Django, we only have 3 minutes, so.
Yeah, let me ask Andrew one last question, man. I heard earlier in the show that you said she has mentioned a couple of times as well, you're the president of the Journalists Association. Now that you're in that role, and you're now the big man, the top gun in the position, what are your future for the association? What do you intend to see happen in the federation?
Well, quickly, and I can't do this on my own. This is something that is going to be involved with the members of the executive and the members of the association itself. But what we hope to do in the next 2 years, as that's the length of our term, is to further develop media workers in St. Kitts and Nevis, providing training opportunities. Because we have a lot of young talent in the industry that need the training. And even the ones who are experienced like myself, we still need to be trained. Because in this profession, you can't have too much training.
True.
You always have to be on the go. So we're looking to provide more training opportunities, but we also want to see how best we can help to develop the media landscape in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes.
1 second.
Yes.
1 second.
Oh, one.
It's
Okay.
8:59.
So yeah, that's the way to go, basically, to develop the talent and develop the media industry.
Well, there you have it, folks. Andre is going to be back. He already gave me his word that he's going to, be a part of the Real Talk whenever he have his time to come on. So we'll be able to have more discussion with him. And I just want to let you guys know that whatever we had here tonight is nothing personal. This is nothing about Andre or whatever. We're just trying to bring the topics. And I like Django. He have on his boxing gloves. I wanted to continue coming with his gloves. I'm going to have to find something else that I can challenge him with. But thank you so much for being here with us, folks. This is The Real Talk. And next week, coming up, Our next guest is Mr. Jafari, and he is out of ITAL Creation. We're going to be talking about business and entrepreneur, you know, how it's affect his business. And yeah, so come on and tune in next week, and you're going to basically hear more real talk right here with lovely, lavish Lavi.